Hey, Mishnah Aleph. This parak, the fifth parak of Shabbos, discusses something which we touched on in the first parak, i.e. the melacha of hoitzah, of carrying. And this parak is going to be discussing the hoitzah of an animal. The Torah tells us in Yaseres HaDibros and also in Parshas Mishpatim in Shmois Chaf Gimel Pasuk Yud Beis, Sheishes Yomim Ta'aseh Ma'asecha Uveyoyim HaShvi Tishbois, and on Shabbos you should rest. That your ox and your donkey should rest as well. So we learn from here the concept of shvisas behemtoi, that just like we should rest on Shabbos and avoid doing melachas, so too our animals should avoid doing melachas letzorech ha'adam. That is what is derived from the pasuk in Mishpatim. And this parak is going to be discussing the concept of hoitzah with an animal. And the general rule is that an animal is allowed to go out wearing things which either protect the animal from the elements, for example, to wear some sort of a cloak and the like in certain forms, or anything which is for the shmirah, for the regular protection of the animal itself. And included in that is anything which is needed to actually control the animal. So, for example, we're going to see soon in the Mishnah that certain rings and ropes and the like can be used for that animal. But so long as it's the normal usage of how to lead that animal, anything which is excessive or more overprotection, then that would be considered asa to use, because it's considered hoitzah, it's a masa, and that you cannot use for an animal on Shabbos. An animal cannot go out with a masa on Shabbos. So therefore the Mishnah says as follows: with what can an animal go out with on Shabbos, and with what can it not go out with on Shabbos? Yotzei hagomel ba'afsar. A camel can go out with an afsar. Now, what is an afsar? The Bar Tanura says it's a chevel shekoishrim al pi ha-behema. It's a rope which you tie on the mouth of the behema. A camel is a relatively tame animal, and it doesn't need a lot of control. It just needs a rope tied in its mouth, and that's considered normal for it. And therefore, you're allowed to have this rope tied to the mouth of the animal, of the camel, and lead it, or to lead it in for it. But to go out on Shabbos with that tied in its mouth is considered normal and regular shmirah, and therefore there's no problems of hoitzah for that. Furthermore, the na'aka b'chatom, a na'aka, which the Bar Tanura says is talking about a na'aka levana, which either means like a specific breed of females camels, or others learn it's referring to all female camels. They can go out with a slightly heavier protection because they run faster. They're less tame than the male counterparts, and therefore they're allowed to go out with a chaytim, with a chatom. What is that? This is the Bar Tanura. Loikchin k'min tabos shel barzel. It's some sort of ring, metal ring. And it's a nose ring. You can place this nose ring in the animal, and that's considered normal carrying for the camel, for the female camel, and therefore a camel can go out, the female narcock can go out with that nose ring. Furthermore, says the Mishnah, v'luvdekis b'prumbia. Luvdekis, the Bar Tanura says, is a chamor haba medinas Lud. A chamor, a donkey which comes from a place called Lud. The article calls it Libya, a Libyan donkey. V'hem koshim v'chazokim, the Bar Tanura says. They're very strong, tough animals. And they need extra protection, stronger sort of control than regular animals, similar chamorim, that are domesticated. And therefore they need a prumbia. A prumbia, the Bar Tanura says, is a resen shel barzel, which Rashi in Gemara in Shabbos, Daf Nun Aleph Omid Beis, says it's a type of harness which goes round, encloses the head and the jaws of the animal. So that's considered normal for the luvdukis. V'sus b'sher. A sus can go out with a share. What is a share? A horse can go out with a share, which is kamin et zodo soviv tavor, which is like a metal ring around its neck. V'tabas kavua boy. And in that ring, which goes around the neck of the horse, there's another smaller ring. And through that smaller ring you put a rope in, and that's how you lead the horse on normal control of a horse. So therefore, a horse is allowed to go out on Shabbos wearing this metal chain around its neck, which has got the smaller ring with the rope attached to it. That's the normal control for a horse, and therefore the animal can go out with that. Umazin alehen v'toivlin bimkoimon. If this chain became tomei, the Bartanura says if it became tomei lemeis, then mazin alehen v'toivlin bimkoimon. You can sprinkle the waters of the parah aduma to purify it, v'toivlin bimkoimon, and you can let the animal walk through the water. And you don't have to take the chain off the neck of the animal. You can let the animal go through the river itself and thereby immerse the chain itself. We're not choshesh that it's going to be too tight. Now, the difficulty is that the normal rule is that a behemoth, a live behemoth, cannot become tomei. And not only can the live behemoth not become tomei, but any appendage to that animal itself can also not become tomei. So why did these things become tomei? So this is addressed by the Bartanura, and the Bartanura says as follows: "V'toivlin bimkoima, machnisim habehema b'mayim lahat b'lasher." You let the water go through the water. You let the animal, to go through the water lahat b'lasher, to be toivel this chain. V'af al gav, says the Bartanura, the kaimelon shekol hakelim hamiyuchodim lebehema. Even though we normally know that any keli, any vessel which is an appendage or attributed, designated for an animal, ein mekablin tuma, cannot be mekabel tuma. Hasher uchoyotze boy, this chain and similar things, mekabel tuma v'tzorich tevila, they can be mekabel tuma, they need tevila. Hoyil v'osui la'odom, since they are made ultimately for humans, because they're needed by humans to lead the animal. The odom sheyanhig boyes ha'behema, to lead the animal. Kakeli ha'osu l'tashmish odom domi, they're considered kalim used by a human, and thereby they can become tomei, and if they do, they require tvila. But the chiddush of the Mishnah is mazn alehem v'tovim b'mkoimon. You can sprinkle onto these things the parah aduma water without actually taking it off the animal, v'tovim b'mkoimon, and you can let the animal through the water without having to take off the chain in order to be tovelet. That is the end of the first Mishnah of the 5th parak.